ECSI fans, do you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all of your sports books and track all of your bets in one place. So your current action, your betting history, and stats. You can also sign up for sports books and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as they're the best account on the platform. Head to the App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire to download the app. Hey sports fans, are you ready for an exhilarating gaming experience? Introducing VIPclub.lv, your ultimate online sportsbook and casino. VIPclub.lv offers a vast selection of sports, from football and basketball to tennis and baseball. Bet on your favorite teams and enjoy the thrill of the game. But that's not all. Our state-of-the-art online casino offers a dazzling array of games, including slots, blackjack, roulette, and live dealer tables. Win big with their fantastic promotions, rewards, and exclusive offers. Join VIPclub.lv today and get a generous 100% match welcome bonus to start your winning streak. Make sure to use code ECSI at sign-up. Bet it, win it, and cash it at VIPclub.lv. Visit VIPclub.lv now and play responsibly. VIPclub.lv, your sportsbook and casino extravaganza. Must be 21 or older to play. Please gamble responsibly. Visit gambleware.org for help.
Good evening, sports fans from all around the globe. I am the host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your closing bell for Friday, January 26th, 2024. Just a handful of days left in January. We turned the page. Thursday will be February. What better way to end the week, as we always do, with Ron Marmalefsky at Ron A Sports to break down the NFL championship weekend. I don't think there's much to talk currently about college football, but if he has something, he'll definitely throw it our way. First and foremost, shout out to the gentlemen behind the glass, Joseph Shea and Evan Lewis. Shout out to our proud sponsor and partnership, WagerWire. If you have not downloaded the app, head on over to Google Play, download it. It's free, or wherever you download your apps. Check out all these sports books and casinos where you can download and take advantage of their free promos, their match play, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. If you're looking to earn a little flash cash for the new year, send an email to affiliate@wagerwire.com. Tell them JD at ECSI sent you, Zach, Travis, the rest of the team and community. The best in the business will take good care of you. And lastly, our proud sponsorship with VIPclub.lv. At checkout, use the promo code ECSI. Tell them JD from ECSI sent you, and they'll take great care of you as well over there. Without further ado, let's send in the star of this show, potentially for the last time this year, the one and only Mr. Ron himself.
Good afternoon, Jeff. Are you telling me there's only 3 games left in the season? What happened?
1, 2, 3. We won't count the Pro Bowl, LOL. So, I just blink. We were talking in August about Florida State and LSU. And now we blink and we're talking about the Final Four: Kansas City, Baltimore, Detroit, and San Francisco. How time flies, sir.
Oh, yes, absolutely. But we do have 2 really intriguing matchups this week. So excited to talk about them, some of the strategy and so
on. Since last week, before we break down last week's games, maybe some strange things that you might have seen. The coaching carousel goes along. We had to stop and pause for a second. 2 vacancies left, Washington and Seattle. I said backstage, Seattle, Dan Quinn, you made a great point. Well, maybe not. And then the Commanders, that we both assume is being held for Ben Johnson from Detroit. But there's a gentleman named Bill Belichick outside looking in, thought he would be Atlanta's new head coach. Raheem Morris is now the new head coach. And the Panthers, maybe a little curveball, grabbing a Tampa Bay OC. Thoughts on the two hirings of this week?
Yeah, so I think it's a decent fit for Tampa to hire Raheem Morris, or Atlanta to hire Raheem Morris, because that particular team has enough talent defensively in the back seven. I've never liked their pass rush, but they haven't really put it together. And I think Morris can help solidify that group. Certainly did an excellent job this year with a very young group of talent that he had with the Rams. So I think that's an interesting hire and a pretty good fit. I don't know if I'd wish anybody on the Carolina job right now. I liked the youth of I liked the attempt to get him into the organization. You might find a diamond in the rough. The problem is you have a meddling owner and you have a team that hasn't drafted so well. Plus you have a team without some draft choices and a pretty weak roster right now. So I hope that in this day and age, when a fourth place schedule can turn into an instant rise, and the first place schedule, you drop back a little because there's a lot of schedule disparity. I hope people don't think it's an automatic quick turnaround for Carolina, because I don't think it is.
You know, you look outside, you see what CJ Stroud did in Houston. You see what D'Amico Ryan did. It is obtainable, but again, you need to hit on both sides of the ball, meaning coach and quarterback. You look at all the teams this year that tried the same thing and failed. And with the draft so full of quarterbacks where we know one will shine and the others, you scratch your head. What do some of these teams that have already drafted their quarterback, that are all set with their slots in the draft order, what's the thought process moving forward?
Yeah, sometimes it's good not to have a quarterback dilemma, because we thought we had a great class when Sam Darnold came out and Baker Mayfield came out and all those quarterbacks, Josh Rosen came out. They're all excited. They're all top 10 quarterbacks. And then some of them aren't even in the league or are listed at second and third string. So if you've got somebody in place already, and I'm going to save this for the end, but there's a lot of new coordinators around the league as well. You're putting in a scheme and you want to match your draft capital, your free agent capital with the new scheme that you're going to run. There's a lot of moving parts right now, and it takes a few months to get it going. Teams with established quarterbacks or young quarterbacks that they hope to develop, they're working on a lot of moving parts right now.
Go back a couple of years ago, the Patriots drafted Mac Jones, 15 or 16. Bill's eye was Micah Parsons. Obviously did not get there to him as Dallas swoops in there. There was a lot of moving parts in trades leading up to those couple picks. Mac Jones was the only quarterback drafted in that draft that made the playoffs. So the Patriots thought they were in a good spot moving forward. Obviously, we know the history there. The Patriots currently with the number 3 pick, the assumption Caleb goes 1, Drake goes 2. A lot of rumblings back east that the Patriots got to take Jaden Daniels. Well, knowing that carousel and knowing what happens here in the quarterback class, the supposed can't miss is Marvin Harrison. But if you don't have anyone to throw him the ball, that is a problem as well. I'm going to just play devil's advocate, and you're the GM of the Patriots at 3. Do you take the can't miss with Harrison? Do you move back and grab a left or right tackle? What is Ron doing if you were the Patriots GM?
First of all, they should have hired me about 10 years ago. I could have fixed them. Boy, I could have done some stuff for them, especially them. This year, I go one of two ways. I take Daniels, or I get in free agency a Kirk Cousins or a very established quarterback, and then I take Harrison, because if you have Cousins to Harrison, you've got instant experience plus that can't miss wide receiver. So I want both of those. You're right. If you don't have a really experienced quarterback, you're kind of wasting, Harrison at that point. And there are at least two other wide receivers that are going to give you some value also in the top 10 of the draft. But I would probably try to get a combo, Harrison and Kirk Cousins.
And you talked to two other wide receivers, and if my memory serves me, neighbor from LSU, and I hope I pronounce this right, Odunze from Washington, correct?
Correct. Thanks for pronouncing it so I didn't have to.
Free agent quarterbacks. We talked Kirk Cousins, Baker Mayfield. Do you assume that Tampa's, after the job that Baker was able to do, that they will be re-signing Baker?
Yeah, so this is similar to me to a Daniel Jones situation in the New York Giants organization and a Geno Smith situation in Seattle. You can win with Baker. He's all in. He's very team oriented. He put up fabulous numbers, but you want a two-way user-friendly contract. One that I think, what did Baker make with incentives? Less than 10 million this past year. So you have to reward him, but you don't want to give him top 10 quarterback money. If you could come up with some sort of 2-year, $50 million, $55 million contract where half of it is guaranteed right now, and there are certain bonuses involved in it, where you, in these day and age, if you're paying for a starting quarterback 20, 25, 27 million, it's not, horrible money, thrown away money. So I would keep him, and I would sign him to one of those 2-year contracts where you could get out of it if it goes south.
Yeah, I was thinking, to be fair on both parties, 3 for 100, and let's just say 66, 2 years is guaranteed.
That's great for Baker Mayfield. I probably wouldn't go that high, but in this day and age, maybe it's the right number.
Moving forward, there's one more moving piece here. Justin Fields. The assumption is, of course, that the Bears are going to draft Caleb. Justin Fields will be available. I have talked at length to anyone that wants to listen. Obviously, I think the best move would be for Atlanta, letting him go back to Atlanta, where he's from. You got him for 1 year. You'll get to see exactly what you have, whether you want to keep Ritter or you want to draft another quarterback just in case. If not Atlanta, is there anyone, Ron, that you think would be a good landing fit for Justin Fields?
Yeah, I'd have to think about that a little bit more. I think Fields is, I think it would be, it's a bad word for me to say Fields is salvageable, because then it sounds like he's really bottom of the barrel. But I don't know what his full ceiling is. Is it ever going to be more than top 8? I don't think so. And wherever he goes, you have to have plan B in place, because quarterbacks that do a lot of running like he does, you may not have him for all 17 games in a grueling NFL season. Off the top of my head, I don't have a perfect fit right now. You have a lot of new coaches, and if they're comfortable with mobile quarterbacks, maybe you bring them in that way. I guess it's a done deal that Chicago is not going to keep him, but I'm not 100% sure that decision's been made.
Jim Harbaugh, we said all along for a while that we thought the Chargers would be the landing spot. If you had that on your bingo card, correct, congrats. You got one of the best quarterbacks in the game. Now, I know a lot of people don't believe that, but as you know, you break down the tapes with the best of them. He can make every throw. He does have aging wide receivers, often injured Big Mike, Keenan Allen. They did draft a wide receiver who I called Pizza Pan Hands from TCU that didn't have a good rookie year. Thoughts on Harbaugh to the Chargers? Thoughts on, I'm saying this tongue in cheek. I think Eckler will be gone. I think if Harbaugh has an opportunity, he'll draft Blake Corum if it becomes available. Thoughts on Harbaugh to the Chargers?
Well, Harbaugh is a winner wherever he's gone. So I have no problems with him going to the Chargers. That's a bold move for the organization, and it's a good one. If I were the Charger GM, that's another organization I think I could have fixed for a long, long time. Zay Flowers, Jordan Addison, why did you have to get another clone to what you already had with Williams and Keenan Allen? That's not how you diversify your offense. I think what you have to do, and you can draft a lot of these wide receivers. Harbaugh saw them all in college. He can draft wide receivers that will stretch the field and be kind of a Batman Robin situation where you have a little diversity in the wide receiver room. I agree with you. If I were GM, I like Austin Eckler as a person, as a try-hard player, but you can't have that person as your bell cow running back. And I don't think Jim Harbaugh likes to run a situation, likes to run a run attack that way. So I think they're going to be drafting their running back of the future.
Last weekend, 49ers. Let's start there. 49ers and Packers. Hats off to the Packers. It was a great, great season. Jordan Love established himself. Everyone will remember the throw that ended the game. Kind of got caught up in the moment. It's a game there. I think the Packers, I'm going to use the word, I think they dominated. I really do. They were a couple dropped pick sixes from actually putting that game out of reach, not needing that touchdown. Missed field goal, of course. Thoughts on the Packers, what they did, and what did you see in that game?
You're absolutely right. The Packers did everything but win the game. I mean, they were the better team. And San Francisco, as teams do, we see it in March Madness all the time. We see it here. They dodge a bullet and they survive in advance. And there's no question San Francisco dodged a bullet. We can go all in on all the things that everybody's already been talking about this week. And that's the mismanagement of the end of the first half by Shanahan. It was horrible how Green Bay mismanaged the end of the drive, how somebody actually ran for over 100 yards on San Francisco. And that's probably the area I want to go with. All these high-priced guys on the San Francisco defensive line. They had a bad game. They couldn't sack, and they couldn't defend the run for the first time in a long time. And I think that's the priority. We can talk about Deebo Samuel. We know he was part of the game plan. It flustered them. They didn't get it right. They're going to make adjustments, but I'm going to be watching what happens with the front four on San Francisco, because they got manhandled by Green Bay in that offensive line.
And you talk about scripting plays for Deebo. We know Shanahan goes as long as 40 plays. His first play in the second half was a handoff to Jawan Jennings, which obviously we know was going to be Deebo Samuel. So hopefully the assumption is, I guess Deebo's 50-50. If he does play, maybe a decoy. I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but it will be definitely interesting and to see the scripting and the assumption there. Head on over to the Lions. A good game, a fun game to watch. Lions prevail. Again, on the spread part of the game, a failed 2-point conversion, which I like that call. I know a lot of people don't like that, but if he gets the 2-pointer, now they just need a touchdown extra point to win the game. He didn't get the 2-pointer, obviously then needed a touchdown and a 2-pointer to tie the game. Thoughts on what you saw with the Lions and the Bucks?
Yeah, I think the Bucks played as hard and as well as they could have played. Nothing wrong from their standpoint. The fact that they weren't one of the best 4 teams in the NFL, that's not surprising. They did what they could. So it was up to the Lions, I thought, to not mess this up. And that's where I get concerned sometimes about Dan Campbell. But he did what I hoped that he would do in that particular game and say, hey, on paper, we're the better team. We don't have to resort to trickery or do this or go for it on 4th and 7 or fake punt or any of that. So he handled that very well. And I think they've also handled the Gibbs situation, as I've said with you and others all along. This is the moment that they wanted to unleash Gibbs. They were planning for the day when Gibbs would get more carries than Montgomery and be more of a factor and have the snap count shift in his favor. It's a long season. This is going to be 17, 18, 19, Detroit's 20th regular season game, not counting preseason. So it's a long season for a rookie. And so I think Detroit's handled everything to this point the way you want them to handle it.
Go over to Ravens and Texans. Hats off to Mr. Ryan, CJ Stroud, an amazing, amazing year. Kind of comically, of course, the ECSI VIP crew, we had Ravens minus 6.5 in the first half. And, of course, the punt return makes it 10-10 at halftime. We don't cash that ticket, but a second-half mauling by the Ravens. I guess a little ring rust with having the 2 weeks basically off. Thoughts on Ravens and Texans?
Well, The Ravens didn't panic when it was 10-10. They adjusted their game plan. They rolled Lamar out. They put it in Lamar's hands. They didn't shy away from Lamar's playoff record or anything like that. They said, we're going to make some adjustments. And they did. And what happened was Houston never saw the field after that, essentially. You know, you're talking about what you had or what you didn't have. I had Stroud thrown over, I think it was 34 and a half attempts. And they only had the ball 22 minutes and threw it 32 or 33 times in that. But at the end, they shut it down. They could have passed more the last 2 minutes, but they had the ball maybe 5 minutes in the second half. So I think from Baltimore's standpoint, they didn't let up, which they have at times during the year. And they did a wonderful job stopping Houston's run. We know Houston can be one-dimensional if their run doesn't work. And they not only made them one-dimensional, but on offense, Baltimore made sure that they didn't get in rhythm because Houston didn't get the ball.
And to save the best for last, Patrick Mahomes, his 16th playoff game, his first outside of Arrowhead Stadium, traveled to Buffalo, the expected best game of the week. It happened. Amazingly, Kansas City in the second half, if my numbers are correct, 17-2 now to the under in the second half. I don't know what Andy is talking, preaching, feeding them at halftime. Defense tightens up. And also the Kansas City's not going out and scoring 21 or 24 points themselves in the second half, but they're taking care of business. Got the second half kickoff march right down the field, scored. Thoughts on what you saw with Kansas City and Buffalo?
Thought it was a great game, good chess match, a lot of things going on. Even though I could tell Mahomes was sharp right away. No sail throws, hitting his targets. Kelsey was rested and rejuvenated. A lot of stuff was going on with Kansas City's offense that I liked. Even then, Buffalo was making it more of a game than I had hoped because of my position on Kansas City. But game took a left turn when they called for that fake punt, and everything the whole rhythm of the game really changed. Even for Kansas City, they didn't know what to do with the ball in the lead, it seemed like. And of course, the fumble through the end zone and that whole stuff. But I never really got the feeling that Buffalo was the better team in that game. I had the feeling all along that Kansas City would do what is necessary. Even if Buffalo kicked that field goal, I had a feeling Kansas City would come back and win.
Well, that leads us to the two games. Might as well stay here. 3:00 start, Kansas City at Baltimore. Now, I have to say, I trust and I respect the opening numbers. Okay, so go back to last Sunday. Buffalo opened up 2.5. Line closes around 3. Of course, we know the final there. This line opened up at Baltimore 3.5. Which to me tells me the first move is going to go back to 3, which it did. Now it's 3.5, and now it's 4 on the Vegas Strip. And under over a 44.5. Vegas telling me initially that they think the Ravens win this game 24-20.
There's so many different ways you handicap playoff football. And one of the ways Vegas has, or offshore has to handicap football is where's the money coming in? Because you're going to get more recreational action in the Final Four. You're going to get people, I love Mahomes, so I'm going to play Mahomes, or I love so-and-so and such like that. I think this is my take anyway. I think they're thinking we can't make the line too high because we're going to be deluged with Mahomes money. You can do that in the regular season if you have an opinion, but in a playoff game, sometimes you have to respect the public action because you're going to get so much money on the game. Now, from a power rating standpoint, the people that I converse with, and of course my own numbers, do not have this game at the 3 that I found at the beginning of this game. I have this game significantly over 4 points in this game. It just graded out that way. And I say that because I actually added a point to Kansas City's power rating right before the Miami game because of the great situation that we talked about. Week 18 bye week. They got to reset. Everybody got to rest. No more of that 6 straight weeks rest differential. I replenished Kansas City's power rating because they were replenished. And even with that bump up, I still get Baltimore by more than the 3.5, more than 4 points. So that's what odds makers were dealing with. Baltimore was the better side for the people who do power ratings. How are they going to balance that Kansas City money?
There's a million ways to skin a cat. There's a million ways to play this game. And I don't think there's a right side or a wrong side. I'm not a big teaser guy. On Sunday, we usually do an action parlay, and it's usually a 3-legged one. And just on a 2-legged parlay, you can take the money line on the 49ers, and you can take the money line on the Ravens and get it basically down to an even money parlay. I think when the dust settles that both the 49ers and Ravens will be standing. Now, I have no fault or shame or anyone that wants to bet Mahomes. I mean, you're going to give me Mahomes with 4 points. You're going to give me Tom Brady with 4 points. I get all of that. I'm hearing people teasing the 49ers down and taking the Chiefs plus 9.5 or 10. For the recreational bettor, is there a wrong way to play this weekend?
Well, you're talking to somebody who's very boring in the way of betting strategies, not counting props and all the junk that I do there and the season stuff. But in straight betting, 99% of my plays, 98% of my plays are just going to be traditional plays. What's the point spread? Can I beat 52.38%? And that's my plan each year. And I've been lucky enough and hopefully good enough to beat it by margin these last few years. So it's been great. So I'm not a teaser player. The definition of tease in the dictionary scares me. So that's why I don't play teases. You got built-in vig and you have to do these different things and scorings up and so on. Now, I don't think there's a wrong way. If you have a conviction on the game, I've been known to manipulate parlays and stuff like that, where instead of a tease, I may take two teams that I just want to clear some numbers on and knock them down just a little bit. But most of my betting is straight betting, and that's pretty much my area of strength. I don't really get into teases. Winner take all. Who's ever behind is going to throw caution to the wind, and a 7-point game could become a 21-point game very easily.
And I love exactly how you put that. You're absolutely spot on that. The late game, Detroit at San Francisco. The opening number, the true opening number was 49ers, 6.5. Immediately shot to 7 with a 51. It's now 52 at the circle with a 7, juiced minus 20, which tells me that Derek and Jeff, their next move might go to 7.5. Thoughts on the opening number of 6.5 and thoughts of where the number is right now?
Yeah, this was a tricky game to set, I'm sure, for odds makers, because if Debo doesn't play, whether it's real or just in the mindset of what people are doing, how much is Debo worth? How much is any non-quarterback worth? Aaron Donald, TJ Watt, they're worth a certain amount. Usually receivers are not worth more than 0.5 point. But the way that San Francisco's game plan changed without Debo Samuel, it could be argued that Debo is going to be worth about 1 point to the odds makers. So if he plays, you're going to see a strong 7 or a weak 7.5, maybe even a regular 7.5. And if he doesn't play, you're going to go back to 6.5. So all eyes are on Debo. And then what's in between? Does he play and is he a decoy? So it's a pretty tough one to set. And luckily, I don't have to deal with that too much because it's pretty much where my numbers are anyway. I don't see an edge in the power rating.
Yeah, at South Point, Chris Andrews, Jimmy Vaccaro have a 7.5 minus 10 cents. And at DraftKings right now, 7.5 even. Before we turn it over to you for some closing thoughts, are there any props or anything on your desk that you might want to? I know you do other shows and stuff, but is there anything that sticks out to you?
Let's go with the KC Baltimore game first. A couple of keys, and because I always look at what are my keys, what do I think is going to do, because that drives the props. So one of the keys I would have here is what happened to Odell Beckham last week. I mean, he had one target in the first quarter, I think. He caught the pass, and then I looked at his snap count, and he had like a 29% snap count. That means if they ran 60 plays, he was in maybe 17, 18 plays at the most. That surprised me. I thought they got him for these moments, just like when the Rams got him. You get him because you want him in the big games. So I wonder if he's going to be used a little more. Does stopping Travis Kelce matter? Because maybe you can't stop him. Maybe you worry about stopping all the other players. And the other thing I worry about for Kansas City is how are they going to stop the run? Because they haven't in the first 2 games. So my players in this game, I like the second tight end, and I've already tweeted this out early in the week. His number was 9.5 yards, Noah Gray. And I went over for him because he's really seen a lot of time. He's had snap counts of close to 60%. Now, his targets may only be 2 or 3, but you may only need 1 to get over the 9.5 yards. And if you want to even take a dabble that he'll catch more than 1 pass, I think he caught 3 last week, 16 the last 6 weeks. I think you can get plus 135 or more in that particular area. So that's interesting to me. Justin Watson is interesting to me. I trust his hands more than I trust Scantling. I know Scantling caught 2 passes last week. That might be a world record for him. But I would trust Justin Watson more. And I have a feeling Mahomes is going to air it out in this game. So those are kind of my looks in terms of that game. My keys, I don't know why I'm thinking this, but Jameson Williams, I just think he needs to have a big role for the Lions in this game. You hope that Dan Campbell plays it close to the vest. You hope he doesn't go too crazy, but I do think he needs to take chances in this game. I do think the Lions need to take calculated risks in this game. I think they have to plan on scoring 25 to 30 points or more to win this game. So I'm kind of looking at what Jameson Williams might add or not add. Unsung guy. Let's talk about somebody that no one's mentioned all week, possibly all year. I don't know if you have any idea where I'm going with this. Kyle Juszczyk, the fullback for San Francisco. I think he gets red zone touch or carry or a reception thrown to him. You can usually get plus money on a half of this or a half of that. There's just something about Kyle Juszczyk being in this game plan that I think works for me. So if you're looking for, something, somebody to root for, those are the players that I would consider.
And on my show this afternoon with Andrew McGinnis on Wager Talk, I brought up the fact that the return of Mark Andrews to the Ravens, we haven't seen him in a long, long time. We don't know what we're going to get from him. Obviously, Ravens are hoping a healthy Mark Andrews who has practiced all week. And the fact of the matter is, obviously, if they are to defeat the Chiefs, they'll have 2 weeks to prepare and get ready for the Super Bowl. I asked Andrew what the number was, and I like this idea of an anytime touchdown by Isaiah Likely in this regards, where if Mark is on the field and they do run some 2 tight end sets, that the focal point will be on Mark, and Isaiah, good, gifted, athletic tight end who has served the purpose to back up Mark, might sneak through the cracks and be able to potentially score.
Yeah. Sam Laporta of the Lions surprised me off his injury that he came in and was pretty productive right away. So we don't know about Andrews. He had a pretty serious injury. Isaiah Likely, way back when I studied him at Coastal Carolina, he was so smooth stretching the field. And we're not talking about 5 or 10 yard passes. We're talking about like last week when he had that very nice, you could see his hands and you could see what he was doing. I mean, he was going to catch that ball. You knew he was going to catch that ball for the touchdown. So, not a bad look in terms of that. Kansas City's pass defense down the field is pretty good. That's probably one of the strengths. But if you got the 2 tight end sets, one of those tight ends is going to get a lesser DB on him, or maybe even a linebacker on him that loses. If you're going to put a linebacker on Isaiah Likely, you probably are going to get finesse downfield.
Well, I can't believe that this time has come again. I go back to August. I go back to our preseason talks, and we're here again to the Final Four. To someone that doesn't sleep like me, we're blessed and honored to have wrapped up 2 seasons with you. We will be doing a few shows, hopefully leading up to drafts and maybe some wrap-ups. And again, hopefully, God willing, you'll have the time to circle back the wagons for season number 3 with us in 2024 in football.
Let's all stay healthy. Yeah, absolutely. Don't know what my off-season plans are. Probably going to try to do some strategy sessions, try to, brainstorm with you, do some other stuff in terms of processing. And now that the season's over, what are some of the pros working on? Because it's really, you want to be ready before kickoff in anything you do. You want to handicap these games a long time in advance. We've got a lot of handicapping to do this year because I'm going to read this because I don't even know if it's true, but I printed it. What you believe on the internet, I don't know. But it says that every single team in the NFL will have replaced their offensive coordinator since the 2022 offseason. Maybe they meant 2021 because that would be 2 years of data. But whatever it is, every team would have at least replaced their coordinator within 2 years. I mean, that takes a lot of homework in terms of what scheme they're going to run, how they're going to draft people, how are they positioning them, what are their coaching mantras. This is a not for long league, NFL, not for long, the old Jerry Glanville quote. We're talking about 8 head coaching changes, 32 coordinator changes on the offensive side in a 2-year period. It's crazy.
I got our email from Anthony Pepe and Sports Map Radio. We will be out on the Super Bowl for Radio Row on that Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I have Wheels Up next Friday. Our first interview Wednesday at 9:15 a.m. A gentleman that I managed 19 high-stakes fantasy football leagues this year, and I drafted him on 17 of them. Expecting rookie sensation, expecting him to take the top off and have a big second half of the year, and that's Jalen Hyatt from the Giants. So I'm going to ask him a few questions on what happened in the year. So I'm excited for that. I'm going to send everyone a lot of pictures there. But before we close the show, I love to give you that nice little 7-yard button hook for your closing thoughts.
Well, in terms of these games, remember that's a funny bounce-shaped ball and so on, so anything can happen. But I'm really excited for these games. I think it's going to be a lot of interest. I mean, if Mahomes pulls this off again against Baltimore, you got to say wow. You just have to say wow. The big thing is San Francisco shouldn't be here. Green Bay should have won last week, but we have to take that and move it aside. San Francisco is here. They had their scare. They're going to make some adjustments. Is this the year that they get over the hump after 2 disappointing conference championships the last 2 years? Because you never really know whether you get back. You always think you're the Dan Marino in your second year. You go to the Super Bowl and then you never touch it again. And then you just don't know. Jalen Hurts might have that feeling. The Eagles might have that feeling. So you just we had a recording of one of the receivers for San Francisco just an hour ago. I think it was Brandon Ayuk. And you could hear it in his voice. We have to get it done now. We have to get it done now. That's why I think Detroit's going to play loose in this game. San Francisco might play tight when it gets to the fourth quarter. So there's still a lot of things to dissect and digest in this game. But I just hope we have some really good football to look at as we head down the stretch run.
I did have Dan Marino and the Dolphins plus 3.5 against the 49ers. I was a freshman in college, so didn't work out too well. I knew early I was on the wrong side there.
Okay, so you were a freshman in college and made that bet, right?
Yes.
So we've got a receiver from LSU who apparently made some college bets too, right?
8,900 of them, Mr. Butte. And, we sat here and scratched back east here, wondering why athletically, he was probably the most talented wide receiver they had on the team. Yet every week was just not suited up. Coach's decision, and maybe Bill knew a little more than he wanted to lead on to. How's that sound?
Well, he was billed after 1.5 years as being probably a first round talent, but the work ethic and all I've seen this so many times when you've done 43 draft reports and you've analyzed all these people, you see that it's not just your time speed. There are other things going on. There were so many red flags with him that he ended up being drafted in the 6th round, and I gave him a 7th round grade. So he wasn't even worthy to me. I mean, it's close enough, but he wasn't even worthy of being in the top 6 rounds on my report. And that had only a little bit to do with ability. It was his work ethic, his ability to improve. Certainly he never improved, but there were so many off the field things that you said, these guys just don't work out in the NFL.
All this God-gifted talent, and they just throw it away. It's absolutely amazing. And by the way, your scouting report this year, I wouldn't mind an extra copy. I will pay you for your services so I can get behind the genius here.
Yeah, I'll send some out. I don't know how fully involved I will be pre-draft. I'll still have the post-draft reports and stuff. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of effort. And as you get older, you got to determine what you're going to do and what you're not going to do. But I'll have the post-draft report for sure.
We can't wait. We can't thank you enough. To all the people watching and listening, the weekend's here. I like to call it Fade the Public Friday. As Andrew calls it, Freaky Friday. Just stay in your lanes. We got a big week of action coming your way. And of course, on Sunday, Kansas City, Baltimore at 3:00, and at 6:30, the nightcap, Detroit and San Francisco. So from myself, Jeff Dawson at EZ Sports Invest, the one and only Ron Marmalefsky at Ron A Sports, we wish everyone a blessed day, a great weekend. We can't thank you guys enough, and we will see you soon.